Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Tuesday, February 16th, and I'm here with a weekly stitching update. I'm a day late because yesterday was President's Day here in the United States, and so we had the day off. All the kids, the husband had the day off, so that means no filming for me. But we had a nice family day together, and now I'm back. So it always feels like, even though I'm one day late, that it feels longer than one day late, like it's a whole nother week late because I have so much to say and I kind of start forgetting things after a week. It all starts falling off the memory train there. But lots to show and plans for this coming week, so let's get going. First off, I got a little bit of fun things in the mail, and first off was a Pass the Stash chart by Terry Lee Crafts. She passed this on to me. It's Mirabilia's Christmas Elf Fairy, and this is a design that is usually only available in a kit, and so I've had it on my wish list for ages. I've just never bit the bullet because I don't necessarily need the kit. I have lots of fabric on my own. I have lots of my own threads. It's kitted up with a lot of fancy floss, and so I figured I'd probably just kit it up myself. So when she was passing this along because she's already stitched it with just the chart, like, perfect, I love that. So thank you very much, Terry. I'm very excited to start that. I don't know if I'll be able to resist starting it this Christmas, so stay tuned. I can't seem to be able to resist starting very much lately. I think I started 3 things this week. So I also have another pattern which I will probably start in March because the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery finally came out with their 2021 mystery stitch along, which is the Cozy Cafe Club. And I haven't done one of their year-long mystery sales ever in real time, I don't think. I've done a couple of them that were the national parks, which were just a few months, and then I did an older one. I don't know if you can see it. On that side of the door right there is Storytime Sampler, I believe it is, which is an old year-long sale, but I did it after the fact. It was several years old when I did it. So it was not a mystery for me. But this one it's going to be a cafe menu with 10 different drinks, non-alcoholic drinks. So they say there's like coffee and tea, sparkling water, a variety of things in traditional and seasonal varieties. So, and of course they'll have their cutesified versions of things. I couldn't resist. I love hot beverages and cafe type stuff. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. I don't like coffee, but I do love tea and other things like hot chocolate and, hot cider and things like that. So I thought, you know what, I have to do this. They have a clue thing that came out that shows you where all the different pieces will come together, and it's not super straightforward. So this has me a little bit worried because I'm thinking I might not stitch some of the drinks that I don't like. So if there's specific drinks that I just would never drink myself, then maybe I just won't stitch them. And there's going to be 9, I think, or 10. I think they said 10. Yeah, there's 10 different ones, and so I might have to wait and see what the border situation looks like, and just condense it. If a particular release doesn't appeal to me, then I just won't stitch it and just shrink it down a little bit. So that's kind of the plan. And then I still have some leftover vintage cloth in the color Prim from Lori Holt. This is what I'm stitching the Prim Stitch series on, and I also am using this for the African Woman with Peonies full coverage piece. And so I still have a decent amount left because I keep stitching everything over one. So this piece was pretty big. So I have lots more to use. So this had a lot of white stitches, so I wanted to stitch on something with a decent darkness to it that would let the white pop. And I think the called for fabric is opal, by Picture This Plus, and in the sneak peeks, it looks like it's kind of a darker tan color. So I'm gonna go with Prim vintage cloth for that and stitch it 1/1. So it'll be cute and small. And I also received, scarily, because I'm not ready for it, number 8 of the Prim Stitch series, speaking of this cloth. This one is called Pleasant and Gentle, and it's so cute. It's got a lady in a big dress and a sheep and some big flowers. So it's very cute, but I just started number 7 this week, so I'm woefully behind. So I really want to get caught up on this series. So I will segue into these because I did finally finish number 6, so that's good. This is Home and Hearth number 6, and here is my finish of that one compared to where it was last time. This is, like I showed you, the 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim, and I'm doing mine 1/1. It's called for 2/2, and it's also called for straight cross stitches, and I'm adding other things in here just to speed it up or make it more interesting. So there's that one, finally done. Took me forever, but I'm happy that it's done. And then I got started a little bit on number 7, Faith and Endurance. And this one has a big church on it, just like the house took me forever. The church could take me forever, so I don't want it to, because I want to try to get, you know, caught up a little bit here. And that other one, the sheep and the lady's skirt, are also going to take forever. There's a lot of stitching in there. So I'm definitely going to have to do some specialty stitches to try to knock those out a little quicker. So here is my start on Faith and Endurance with just the beginning of the church. And I'm going to, I wanted to do some specialty stitches in the windows, and so I did some probably road stitches, I guess, on that panel, and which will also be the same for these windows over here. And I'll probably do something on the roof, maybe some diagonal stitches. When I started to do some satin stitches around the window up here, it did not look very good. It didn't look right at all. So I went ahead and just did straight stitches, but then when I got about here, I was thinking maybe if I do some elongated cross stitches in the rest of the building, it'll look like paneling instead of satin stitches. So this top part could be like stucco and the bottom will be siding. So I have only done the first half of these legs. They're not done, but I'm gonna do a cross stitch that's over two fabric squares instead of over one. So that's kind of my plan, to help give a decent amount of coverage but still have more of a tall block look and cut the amount of stitching in half at least. I'll show you another one where I used those stitches. I used them in the suspenders of the farmer on one of these. Here's this one. I used those long stitches in his suspenders. So I'm gonna try that for the siding of the bottom half of the white part of the church, as well as the green side of the church. So I'm gonna try these, and I'll have it line up with each other. So that's kind of my plan. And then I'll have some specialty stitches in the centers of the flower, center of the heart, the leaves, and probably the pot. So I'm hoping by doing all of that, it will help it speed up just a little bit. So these are cute. I am enjoying them. So I don't always have a lot of time to work on them, so that's why they take so long, because they're not my focus pieces. They're just kind of my bonus pieces. The occasional time that we go somewhere in the car, or usually it's when we watch particular shows with the whole family that don't demand as much attention. Most shows we watch, that just my husband and I watch, I want to focus on it and I watch the whole thing. I don't stitch while I watch TV, but there's a few things I do. I've mentioned this before. So right now it's BattleBots and Simpsons, which we're rewatching with my son because he hasn't seen them. I don't need to focus on those. So I work on this one, and then also typography during those types of things. So my my travel bag comes with me into the TV room when I have time for those things. So this is temperature typography, which I'm doing for my temperature piece this year. It's in my Etsy shop along with some other temperature designs. And I got 2 more letters stitched this time. This is on 28 count, 1/1, full crosses on like a pale blue even weave of some kind. I don't know the exact fabric, but I got the E and the B finished. So we warmed up a little bit into like the mid 70s and then back down into the 60s. But it appears based on the, you know, the long-term projections of weather that we probably won't get any more really cold weather. I think this was our only cold. These are 50s, highs in the 50s. And so that's the way it is in Southern California. It's pretty springy feeling here already. Some of the trees in the neighborhood are full of white flowers already, and that's usually the first sign of spring. So it is pretty, but we never got snow. We got snow 10 years ago, and so I was thinking, well, maybe this is the year. You know, every 10 years we can get some snow, but nope, no snow. That's all right. Let's go ahead and work to show you my Mill Hill Monday project, Buttons and Beads Winged Monarch. And I have collected a few of these, and I'm going to eventually have 12 and rotate them out in a frame for the months. This one I think is earmarked for the month of May. Be kind of cool if I finished it by May, but I don't necessarily need that to happen. I'm just plugging away at it with like 2 or 3 links of thread every Monday as my non-focus piece, instead of Quick Stitch Iris, which is usually my non-focus piece most days, where I just do a little bit on it that day. So here is current progress on Mill Hill Winged Monarch. So I did this for 2 Mondays since I saw you last, because I worked on it yesterday also. Normally I film before I stitch on the particular day, but since I didn't film yesterday, you got a second Monday's worth of progress. So I finished out the pink, I think is what I did last time, and there was a little bit of light purple in here as well that I noticed that I hadn't seen before. So I did that also last week, and then this week I did all the dark green in these stem areas. I think there was, oh yeah, there was a little bit of light purple over on the bottom side of this petal that I saw that I had not done before either, so I did that. So the flowers are completely stitched, the butterfly is completely stitched, so now I'm working on the greens, and then there's a background color that's very similar to this paper, and then I'll bead. There's actually some backstitching in here too, and so I'm tempted, I don't know if I should backstitch first. Now I can't quite tell if I should backstitch and then keep going. I'll have to keep looking at where the backstitch falls, if the background will be affected by it, because it's usually like there's some lines in the butterflies or some lines in the flowers. And that's about it. Oh yeah, there was some antennas on the butterfly that needed some background colors put in first, so I don't know, I might wait still to do that as well. I keep wanting to put in some beads, but I'm afraid it'll be too obnoxious and will catch on the thread as I'm stitching. So I haven't done that yet, but we'll see. So far, I'm really enjoying pulling that out every Monday and getting a little bit more progress on it. So it's coming along, and that's fun. So my main projects this week. I started out with End of the Ball, which I used End of the Ball for Full Coverage Fanatics Bookshelf Challenge, because their theme in February is romance. This is very romantic looking. I think that's it. I don't think I had a whole lot of challenge things this month. Yeah, so I just did this for that. And this is on 24 count Congress cloth in ivory. And this is how far I got. Still a lot of just background colors, but a decent chunk of stitching from what I remember. 411 stitches the first day and 313 stitches the second day. I picked some of these colors and filled in a bunch right around here for the most part. There are some of these along the top that normally I would go along the top and pick those colors, but they were unique. So like this one had a color that was not anywhere else for a long way of counting, and it was a blend. So when I use blends, I'm a lot more motivated to try to do a bigger chunk before having to put the blends back, because I stitch from my master DMC set, and so then I have to rewind them on 2 separate bobbins when I'm done with it. So if I do 1 stitch of a blend, it's just kind of annoying. These ones were also another color. This color was tempting because it had a little bit here and a little bit somewhere else that was reasonable, but not a lot of extra stitches. So I went ahead and just picked some of these that were in here, and they were blends as well, but I could finish my string. And so I was happy with that. I did that instead. Maybe when I get a little bit more filled in, I'll come back and pick up these colors, because then it'll be easier to count to where the other stitches happen. I can't remember where they were. They might have been in the people's heads. I think some of the colors were in the man's head. This is the beginning of the girl's head, and so the man's head is like over here. So it was just a little bit too far for my comfort. And I know sometimes I count really far, but I usually have some sort of method of getting over there fairly safely. So like on the bookshelf, stitching shelf, I like skipped along and stitched along the bookshelves, which then gives me somewhere. When I was working on Norwegian Ship, I stitched along the top of the pattern with particular colors that got me to the new places. And so this one, picking just that particular symbol up at the top, I would have needed to count a farther distance than I'm usually comfortable in order to get the other stitches with nothing in between. And so it would have been, I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling like being that risky this time around anyways. So that's what I got done on that one. It's still a lot of background, but the background's got to get done, and it's going to look really nice. And so I just need to keep plugging away at it. So then the 10th rolled around, and that's when I started my new piece for my anniversary. So this is a soda stitch pattern by the window in the morning, and I'm doing mine on darker fabric, not white, and then I'm going to add a quote by Ernest Hemingway down here that talks about reading the windows open and the stars bright and stuff. So I'm going to make this a nighttime scene back here as well. I got a little bit of a start on this with just white because it was close, the white was close to my center point, and then I just kept working off of that, and it was easier just to keep going with the white than pick a specific color. So I think I started in this pillow, so then I did white, and I jogged over to his shirt and the book and up his head, and so it was just easier rather than starting and stopping a bunch of colors in this pillow or starting and stopping a bunch of colors in his shirt. I just kept going with white and saw where it got me. And now I'm thinking, all right, I had to go make my kids be quiet. So anyways, I'm considering even changing the couch, because I would never get a pink couch. My husband would probably never allow a pink couch. It's very pink. There are these hearts on it too, so I don't know if that's, I don't know. I may take the hearts off as well and just make it a regular couch. It's already tan fabric, so I don't know if I would go with a brown couch or like a lighter creamy, maybe cream, a cream couch would be nice, because then it would pop off the fabric a little bit more. So I'm still going to think about that, as well as consider maybe what to do with these bars, because that's going to come up pretty soon too. I'd like to work from the top down, so this part's going to need my attention quicker. The accent color in here is light blue, but if I'm working on tan fabric, a light blue accent may not make that much sense. So I might choose a more wood grain color for the window pane. I don't even know what those are called. So window expert, tell me, what are these called in the center of a window? Because these are the panes, so I don't know. Anyways, and I'll be filling in the window with night sky colors and stars rather than the plain white fabric showing with puffy clouds. So anyways, here's my start. Not a huge start, but this is pretty nice. It's a 18 count Devosa, I'm pretty sure. So I'm doing 2 strands over 1. It's like a Devosa is like a large even weave. It's not Ada. I've never used it before, but I think that's what this is. And it was a little bit interesting. It sometimes felt like my stitches were too tight. I don't usually feel like that with Ada, but with 2 strands. But I do like the coverage with 2 strands. I think 1 strand would not be quite enough for this particular type of pattern. If it was a sampler or something, 1 strand might be okay. But anyways, I don't know if you can tell. So I started, this is part of the pillow, and then this is his shoulder and the side of his head, and this is the beginning of the book. Yeah, the pages of the book right here, and his other shoulder. So that's kind of the start of that, some white. I knew going with white, I wouldn't have to address any color change issues at the moment. So that was a nice way to just get it started and deal with some of the other stuff later. But I will have to start addressing that pretty soon. So I think talking it over with you, I like the idea of making the couch beige and I guess I could make these window separator pieces white with blue accents and just stitch the white because often a window's molding will be white. So I think that could work actually, to just keep it light blue but also stitch in the white bits, especially since I'll be making the sky dark behind it, then that will help it pop a little bit more. So, and I maybe I'll do some half stitch curtains just to fill them in a little bit, make them kind of gauzy. Some white curtains maybe. We shall see. That's kind of my thoughts starting with that one. So this is a plan for my 20th anniversary, which is now a year and 6 months away. So I think I can do it. Pulling it out once a month, but if it gets closer and I'm really far away, then I'll work on it more often. But I'm good under pressure. I like to procrastinate. Anyways, so that was a start. And then I worked on Quick Stitch Iris for a whole day. I did not get as much done on this one as I sometimes do, or as I did last month anyways. Oh, I kept meaning to bring that over. Here's Quick Stitch Iris by Josephine Wall and Heaven and Earth Designs, and I'm working on this every day for at least 65 stitches, except for Mondays when I work on my mill hill kit. So I did that every day this week, except for Thursday, which is when I worked on it all day, not just for 65 stitches. So here is where it is at now. And this is 25 count, 1/1, full crosses. And this is the bottom of the design, so I'm getting close. It's like I'm closing in on a finish, and I'm starting to get some decent work started in this flower, which is fun. I got this bud mostly finished. I might have filled in, I think I did a whole lot over there. I think I might have done some background, but I am starting in on this. I did some green right here too, I think. Yeah, but starting to fill in this flower is kind of fun. This is one that I did my Stitch With Me video. I worked on this piece. So I haven't done any Stitch With Me videos in like a year and a half at least, maybe 2 years. I was really hoping to get back into them at the beginning of 2020, and then all of my family came home right in March when I was finally starting to get settled into the new year, and then everybody was home all the time. And that just wasn't conducive to Stitch With Me, because I want to be able to talk out loud in my stitching chair, which is down in the middle of everywhere in the downstairs. So I just decided finally I need to just do it. In the evenings, my husband is usually in the other room playing a game of some kind, and so he's quiet, and so I'm usually in my main stitchy chair watching Flosstube or something while I'm stitching. So I think, you know what, I can just talk and it won't be that big of a deal. I won't be alone in the house, which is preferable, but it's better than nothing. And it'll be while my kids are sleeping, so they won't be bothering the process. And then recently I bought a camera mount thing so that I can have my camera situated in a nice way, so it's a better setup than I had before too. So I'm hoping to do these more often, every little bit. So I don't have a planned schedule of sorts for you, because I don't know how frequently I'll be able to do them. It kind of depends on which projects I pick. Some projects are easier to talk about than others. Some projects have different methods that you guys are requesting to see. I had a lot of requests for specialty stitches, including at least 1 or 2 people requesting to see me work on Twisted Band Sampler, which is one that I definitely have been wanting to film. All the times I pulled it out in 2020, I'd be working on it, being like, I really want to film this. I want to be able to show people the specialty stitches are not scary, they're fun. And so I do want to do some specialty stitch videos and videos of the various projects I do, because each project is slightly different with a slightly different method. And so be looking for those. They'll be titled differently. Stitch Along with Stitchin' Mommy, I think, is how I'm titling them. I'm not titling them Flosstube. So if you don't want those, you can just see by the title that it's not a regular update and move on to the next one. And that's fine too. But I had an overflowing of positive feedback on that first video. So I'll definitely make more of those for you, those of you who like those. So that was fun. So I'm glad that a lot of you enjoyed that. That was Thursday. So then Friday and Saturday, I worked on tea and books for Kelly over at Animal Instinct for her birthday. She wanted you to do a new start or something with an animal. And this, technically, if you count butterflies as animals, this has animals in it. But this is a new start that I had wanted to do either the end of December or beginning of January, and just never happened. So I thought, you know what, I really want to start this, so let's start it for Kelly's birthday. And she, I thought it was fun too. She's turning 40, or she turned 40, I guess, on Friday. And I'm turning 40 this year as well, later in September. And then I heard Kim over Spartan Stitcher. She is turning 40 in March. Stitching Addict, Rolanda, she's turning 40 in November, I think she said. And so there's at least 4 of us who make Flosstube videos who are all 81 babies. So I'm very excited about that. Because it's like, yay, camaraderie. So that's fun. Fun to hear of other people that are like, just like you, I guess. In that way, as well as in loving stitching. So let's see, where is my project? Here it is. This one I am doing it no background. I removed the background myself, and I'm doing this on some 40 count Vertil even weave in the colorway Days Gone By, and I stitched the steam over the two days, and actually a little bit on Sunday too, because I had this stuff right here to do, and I really wanted to get all the steam done. And literally there's like maybe 5 stitches down here that are still steam, but my thread ran out and I couldn't get them in. So I will do that next time. But I didn't want to start a whole new length of thread, because one length of thread on 40 count goes a long way, and I didn't want to leave a piece of thread on this just because. So I got all the steam done. So this is, in the original pattern, there's a lot more colors to the steam than just plain white, but I decided I'd go ahead and just stitch the white, since there's enough modeling in the fabric that I don't think you need anything more. Just give a wisp coming out, and then it'll start with the cup right here, and you know, the butterflies and whatnot. So I thought that was a pretty nice start. I'm doing this 1/1 half crosses on 40 count, fertile, even weave. This is Silk Weaver in the color Days Gone By. So this was gifted to me by Amy Gable Stitcher, and I can see it. She was having trouble seeing the holes on this particular version of fabric, but I can see it, so I'm excited. So I will continue working on this, and I don't know when it'll come out again because it's not a full coverage piece. It won't. The only group I'm still participating in right now is Full Coverage Fanatics, so it won't work for any of those challenges, but I will bring it out for other things, for other times, and I might need to pick another challenge group just to give me some excuses to pull out my non-full coverage pieces, because I'm finding it's hard to figure out exactly what I want to work on that's not part of the challenges and Full Coverage Fanatics, and I don't want to neglect all of my non-full coverage pieces because I love them too. So it's always a struggle, but it's a fun struggle to have, I suppose. And then on Sunday, I worked on Knitting Woman, which I had been doing for my mom. So here's this one, what that will look like when it's done. This is by Golden Kite, and yeah, I did a decent amount of stitches on this. Let's see. Oh, tea and books, I got 437 stitches on one day and 502 stitches on the next day, and then a little bit, I think 45 stitches on the last day. So quite a bit of progress in that steam. So that's really fun. And then Knitting Woman, I only got 350 stitches. Which you would think it would show a decent amount, so I'm hoping you can see some progress. But since I wasn't stitching all in the same place, I don't know if you'll be able to see that well, but hopefully you can. This is on 22 count Aida, 2/1 half stitches. And I did a little bit, mostly here in her arm and kind of in this hand here, a little bit down here in her arms just to finish some strings, and a little bit over here in the cat space too, and along in his tail with some shading, some in here. What I was doing is just picking some colors up here that weren't done yet and, you know, moving them, stitching them till the strings ran out. So that's mainly where you can see the difference, is in their arms and hands and a little bit in the cat. So I think it's fun. Keeps coming along, plugging away at that one. I didn't check the percentage on this. I'm getting close to 75% on my iris. I don't remember what this one is, but in Pattern Keeper it tells you what your percentage complete is, so it's fun to know that sometimes. Oh yeah, and so then yesterday I wasn't sure what to work on. I had 2 days, or I had 4 days this week before the Full Coverage Fanatics Big Strides weekend, where they want you to work on your largest full coverage project for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I had 4 days unaccounted for, but I still have some pieces that I had chosen to work for their bookshelf challenge with the theme of romance. I have picked 3 projects every month, except for March, and I added a 4th one. But most months I have picked 3 projects for their bookshelf challenge, and I want to just work on them at least a day or two. So this past week I worked on End of the Ball for that one. This week I'm going to work on the love letter, so I put that in Wednesday and Thursday. And then I kind of liked the idea of working on one project yesterday and one project today, because then I wouldn't have to come back and show you like partway through a project. So originally I was thinking of my Lavender and Lace Winter Rose, but then Monday morning rolled around and I was thinking, you know, I think I want to start this kit that I got from Debbie. I'm really curious about how this is going to work. So this is a kit I received as a gift, and it was, this I've realized is not a mock-up. It is just artwork. So the actual cross stitch is not this detailed. So we'll see how it actually looks when it's done. But it comes with all the threads. They have DMC color numbers in here, and it says DMC, you know, where they on the chart, but they're a lot shinier. So I think they're probably a DMC alternative, like CXC or something like that, because they're probably not 100% cotton. But they are pleasant to work with. I'm able to use the entire ridiculously long string without it. It fuzzes up a tiny bit at the end, but for the most part, it's fine. This is on 11 count Aida that came in the kit, and it's pre-printed like this. And obviously these are not the same colors, but they printed it with the symbol key right here. So like all the yellows is 3865, which is a white. And so I have started here on the top, and there's my white, and you can still see some yellow behind it, but Fudge and Frog, I think is her channel name. She recently did a kit like this that was of a fox, and she was a little worried about it all washing out, but when she was done, she washed it out, and it looks perfect. It's like plain white fabric, bright, colorful threads, you know, it's just right. So I'm hoping that'll be the case for this too. I was just really curious about, I got this top little snowflake thingy finished, and it has multiple colors in there, and I got some of this blue in here, some of this, there's two shades of white and pale blue right here. This is stitched, so you can kind of see the differences in my stitching versus the canvas, or the fabric. It is fabric. It is very stiff, but as I roll it up and work with it, it usually softens up. Stiff fabric usually does for me. So it was not bad. I'm using 3 strands of floss over this 11 count, which is what they recommended for 11 count. It actually had the floss recommendations were written in English. Everything else on here is written in Chinese. But so far so good. I'm holding out, reserving judgment for how clear it will be, if they'll look like snowflakes or if it will be just blotches of color. But it's fun. So I'll keep working on that here and there. No goals for that one, as with most of my pieces. It's just for fun. So I got that started yesterday, and then today I decided to pull out Rosetto. It's been a while. This is my one counted canvas piece, and this is by Needle Delights Originals, and it calls for a whole host of unique threads that most cross-stitch stores do not carry. And so I managed to kit it up with all the threads that I needed. Some of the ones were, I got them from my local needlepoint store, because I have a needlepoint store in my town, not cross-stitch, and so they had all of these interesting threads. These are a lot of Splendor silk and sparkle rays and neon rays, and they're like flat braid, water and ice. It's like flat braid. It's not thread for some of these rays colors. So it's very interesting. So it's kind of fun to work with some of this new stuff. It's very expensive, so that's why I'm not going to do a ton of these. Only one at a time, probably. There's a bunch of other, like pearl cottons and water lily silk and a variety of things. So very fun. Or Gloriana, I think it's Gloriana silk. So they have wonderful instructions. As you can see, just in this brief little section here, they have things like that where one of these squares will have an entire page of instructions. And so there's a lot of detailed information. You just read it and follow the directions, and it works. It works well. I've done, I believe, the T so far. I'm not sure where I'll go with this next. I'll have to read the directions and figure it out. But I thought I would work on this a little bit today and see what else I can get done on it. So, oh, not quite a T. So maybe I'll work on the one below it. So this is my start. on Rosetto. So you can see some shimmery because I have some sparkle in there, and all the fun specialty stitches. So they had you draw the boxes on your canvas. This is 18 count mono canvas in like cream or ivory or something. They had you draw on it with a pencil, and so everything is laid out and previously counted to know that it's the right size. So now I just need to go and fill them in with the variety of stitches that they tell me to do. So I am very excited. So likely, I don't know, but I'm guessing it'll maybe have me do this one, and then we'll see where it takes me from there. So hopefully I can get more than a block done, but if I do just get a block done, that's more than I had before. So I'm excited about that. So that's what I'll be working on later today. I just have this in an old pillowcase. Okay, then we go on to the love letter, which is the one I'm going to do for the bookshelf challenge. This is a golden kite piece also, and she's received a love letter from her special someone, so I thought that fit the romance theme as well for the bookshelf challenge. And here is where I'm at with this one. This is on the same 25 count fabric that I'm doing the iris on, as well as Norwegian ship. So that all three of those are on the same fabric. So here's where I'm starting. This is 2/1 half stitches instead of 1/1 full crosses like iris. Because this is a golden kite, there are a lot of blends. So I needed to be able to do 2 strands, but I don't want to have to do it. It's a large pattern, so I don't want to do 18 count full crosses. So in order to do 2 strands, I do 25 or 28 count usually with a half stitch, and so far so good. The background is very boring for the most part, but this bit with the feather on her hat is super confetti heavy, but it looks amazing. So I'm honestly not that excited to work on this because there's still so many parked threads, so much confetti, but I haven't worked on it all that much since I've had Pattern Keeper. So I'm hoping that by now pulling it out and working on it with Pattern Keeper that I'll get over that hurdle of not wanting to work on it, because pretty much all of my other patterns that I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to work on that, it's too hard, too complicated. As soon as I started working on it in Pattern Keeper, my love for it rekindled. So I'm assuming that's going to happen with this one too. I just haven't had as much time with this one in Pattern Keeper. So that's the plan with this one. And I will give this 2 days. So hopefully I can get a decent amount of these parked threads stitched in and start to rekindle my love for it again, because I do really like the pattern. It's very cute. They have a mini or a small version of this pattern as well, but there was just something about the detail in this one that I just really loved, and so I shouldn't restart it and do the mini, but if I want it finished, I probably should. But I've already got like 3 or 4 pages done, so I will stick with it, and I think Pattern Keeper will help me turn it around. So the final project I'll work on this week, oh yeah, and I didn't bring it up here, but I'll probably work on His Name is Jesus for a little bit on Friday, assuming I talk with Desiree. That's kind of our plan every other Friday. I didn't bring it up here, so I'll just show that next week, but that's kind of the plan for a bonus piece on Friday. Also Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll be working on the flower garden. So this goes along with the Full Coverage Fanatics Big Strides weekend. And this is my largest full coverage design. I have another one, Empress Eugenie, that is technically larger. This one. The original pattern is larger, but since I'm cropping a bunch off, the flower garden ends up being bigger because it's not cropped at all. So this is larger than a stitching shelf, and it's larger than Empress Eugenie. It's a big one. So here's my start on this one. This is, I finally got all the parked threads worked in, so that's actually pretty exciting. And I can just work on, picking colors probably up here like I've been doing and filling them in wherever they appear. So this is on Rose Monaco 2/1 half stitches. So I'm really excited about that, to see how much more I'll be able to get done on that in 3 days. And they're weekend days too, which many weekend days I can get a decent amount of progress because I get more time. So we shall see. So that'll be fun to see. I have a good amount of background that I need to do before I get to the lady, but maybe I'll get some flowers worked on or something interesting. So I think that's everything. Oh yeah, real briefly, I won't go into details yet, but they have a challenge up in Full Coverage Fanatics. It's History Sprints is what they're calling it. And this is for the whole month of March. So if you're a planner, you can hop over there and print this out and start planning. And so Sunday night, I had gotten to a good stopping point on Knitting Woman and pulled this out and started playing. So they picked 20 historical events that happened in the month of March, and they have the dates here. So there's the date and then the year. And if you do the counting version, you can do any project you want using that many stitches that goes along with the year. I'm not going to do that because that's too many stitches for me to be able to participate in as many as I can, which is what I like to do. So I will be doing this similarly to bingo, where I'm going to do a day on each line. These two are crossed out because I don't have any projects with witches or horses. I'm just doing the themes. And so they have the theme written here for each one of them. And I don't even have anything that's in my to be started list that has witches or horses either. So I just cross those out, and I'll do 18 of these, and I'm okay with that. So I penciled in on the side which full coverage project I will work on for which of these. And I made sure to include my family pieces, Iris and Knitting Woman, and the 4 that I have chosen for the bookshelf challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics. So those are all represented here with at least 1 day. I think there's 2 projects that got 2 days, just because the prompts lent themselves to those projects particularly. I will be jumping around a lot more on this than I did with the bingo in January, because I'm kind of in the mood for working on all the things again. So I will be doing 18 days of almost all unique projects. I'm trying to think. It's probably too complicated to try to read this and figure it out here on camera, but I think there's probably like 15 or 16 unique projects that I'm gonna do with this. But the projects that are using two different events will get 2 different days. So if a project is chosen twice here, I will do it 2 days in a row. Everything else will get 1 day in the month of March. And then for all the other days beyond those 18 days earmarked for this, I will do non-full coverage projects. So that will include I think 2 or 3 other family pieces that I've got. I'll make sure to include those, but then all the other days, I'll just pick things that I'm hankering for. So I have a list of another page here of all of my non-full coverage pieces. So I'll just look through this and see what's calling to me and plug those in and do a little bit of probably just 1 day on a variety of these throughout the month of March. So it'll be a little bit manic as far as switching projects every day, but I'm kind of okay with that at this point. Sometimes I'm really not feeling that, and sometimes I am. So in February, I've been doing kind of a mixture of 1 and 2 day rotations. And even, well, the beginning of February, I worked on those cards, and that was for 5 days straight. So, and a lot of other times I'm giving myself 1 or 2 days, an extra day for things. So I'm kind of okay with going back to every day is something different. And maybe in April, I'll go back to that where I do 2 or 3 days on things. So we'll see. Every month has a little bit different flavor, but I do hope to be able to sprinkle in non-full coverage along with the full coverage throughout the month of March, just so that a lot more projects will see some attention, and it's fun for you to see them come out. It's fun for me to see them come out and get some progress done on them. So that's kind of my plan going forward. So I think I've yammered on long enough. Showed you all the various things. I hope you have a wonderful week of stitching wherever you're at, and enjoy your February for the rest of the week, and happy stitching. Bye.